The family doctor murdered, the brutal killing of Dr. Henry Hahn and his family. Before we dive in, kindly hit the subscribe button and let us know where you are watching from in the comment. It was supposed to be an ordinary Friday, March 23, 2016, Santa Barbara, California. The ocean shimmered under a calm morning sun. Palm trees swayed lazily in the wind. The quiet hills above Calle Real were dotted with expensive homes, each one a symbol of success and serenity. But inside one of them, something unthinkable had already happened. Dr. Henry Hahn was the kind of man people in town spoke about with respect. He wasn't just a doctor, he was a healer, a holistic medicine specialist who believed in blending Eastern and Western healing. Patients described him as calm, gentle, spiritual. His wife, Jenny Yu, shared that calmness. She managed the practice's office, greeted patients, and made sure the clinic ran smoothly. Together, they were a team. And then there was Emily, their only daughter, 5 years old, bright, curious, always smiling. She loved painting, dancing, and following her dad around the garden. The Hahns were, by all accounts, the perfect family. But perfection can hide darkness. And on that March day, something evil found its way into their home. At around 6:30 p.m., a neighbor noticed something strange. The family's home, usually lit and full of life, was dark. Their car was still in the driveway. No one had been seen all day. By 7 o'clock, concern turned to unease. A family friend tried calling Henry's phone. No answer. Then Jenny's. Still nothing. The friend knew something wasn't right. Henry never missed appointments. He was meticulous, the kind of man who kept promises. So, at 8:30 p.m., the friend drove to their house. The front door was unlocked. The lights were off. Inside, the air was heavy, the kind of silence that doesn't feel natural. Then came the smell. Metallic, sharp, undeniable. Blood. The friend stepped back, heart pounding, and called 911. Deputies arrived minutes later. They entered cautiously, flashlights cutting through the dark hallways. It didn't take long. In the back bedroom, near the master suite, the first deputy froze. Then called for backup. 3 bodies, all covered in blankets, all motionless. Dr. Henry Hahn, Jenny Yu, their daughter, Emily. They were found lying close together, as if someone had tried to arrange them. Henry had been shot multiple times. Jenny too, and little Emily 1 gunshot wound. It was cold, brutal, execution style. The scene was eerily clean, no signs of forced entry, no shattered glass, no overturned furniture. Whoever did this knew what they were doing. But there was something else. A faint trail of footprints leading out the back door. And tire marks, faint but fresh, near the dirt road that curved behind the property. The killer had left just before help arrived. The Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office sealed off the area. Crime scene tape surrounded the house. Neighbors gathered outside, whispering, crying. This wasn't supposed to happen here. Not in Santa Barbara. Not to a family like this. Reporters showed up within hours. The story spread quickly. Local doctor and family found dead in apparent triple homicide. Detectives began piecing together what happened. They interviewed neighbors, patients, friends. Everyone had the same question. Who would want to hurt them? Inside the house, investigators found clues that made no sense. Nothing was stolen. Expensive jewelry still in the drawers. Wallets and phones untouched. This wasn't a robbery. But then, in the garage, they found something strange. A stack of business cards. Each one belonging to Dr. Hahn's Wellness Center. On the back of one card was a scribbled note. See you Friday, 2 p.m. P. That was the day they died. And then, in Dr. Hahn's phone logs, a name appeared over and over again. Pierre Hobs. Detectives didn't know it yet, but that name would soon dominate headlines across the country. On paper, Pierre Hobs was a 27-year-old entrepreneur. He'd been seen around Santa Barbara, always talking about business deals and inventions. He called himself an energy consultant, a tech investor. But behind the smooth talk and charm, Pierre was a liar. A conman. A drifter who owed people money. Lots of it. He met Dr. Hahn years earlier. The two had struck up a friendship, bonded by talk of alternative medicine and technology. Pierre told the doctor he was developing new energy systems that could revolutionize the medical world. Dr. Han, ever the believer in innovation, wanted to help. He invested money. He trusted Pierre. But that trust would cost him everything. Once detectives saw Pierre's name, they started digging. They checked his recent activity, phone records, emails, bank transactions, and what they found was chilling. Pierre had been in contact with Dr. Han the very day of the murders. He'd even been at the house that morning. He claimed they were meeting to discuss a business loan. But hours later, Dr. Han, his wife, and daughter were dead. Detectives moved fast. They issued an alert for Pierre's car, a 2013 white Honda Accord. By dawn, his face was everywhere: local news, radio, online. Santa Barbara was officially in panic mode. March 24th, the manhunt began. SWAT teams scoured rural highways. Helicopters hovered over the city. Roadblocks went up. Then, at 11:15 a.m., a break. Pierre's car was spotted at a gas station near Oceanside, more than 200 miles south. Deputies moved in quietly, surrounding the vehicle. When Pierre stepped out, hands in his pockets, he looked calm, almost too calm. They ordered him to the ground. He didn't resist. Inside his car, they found a gun, a Glock .45 caliber, the same type used in the Han murders. They also found $10,000 in cash, duct tape, zip ties, and a black trash bag. The sheriff later called it what it was: a killer's kit. At the station, Pierre sat in the interrogation room. Clean clothes, no emotion. Detectives pressed him for hours. He denied everything. "I didn't kill them," he said. "Henry was my friend." But the evidence said otherwise. Ballistics matched his gun. Cell tower data put him at the Han home during the murders. And DNA was found on the blankets covering the victims. Still, Pierre played it cool, calm, collected, almost rehearsed. When asked why he had so much cash, he smiled. "Business," he said, but detectives weren't buying it. They had uncovered emails between Pierre and Dr. Han, messages that revealed a growing tension between the two. Dr. Han had demanded repayment of a $30,000 loan. Pierre had promised to pay soon. Instead, police believed he showed up with a gun. As news spread of Pierre's arrest, the community's shock deepened. How could someone they all knew, someone who called himself a friend of the family, be capable of such horror? Patients held a candlelight vigil outside Dr. Han's clinic. Flowers and cards lined the steps. One note read, "You healed us. You helped us. You didn't deserve this." Another simply said, "For Emily." According to investigators, here's what they believed happened. Pierre arrived at the Han home under the guise of a business meeting. He carried a gun hidden in his bag. Once inside, an argument broke out. Money, debt, broken promises. Something snapped. Pierre pulled the trigger, first at Dr. Han, then Jenny, then little Emily. He covered their bodies with blankets, stole valuables and cash, and drove off. But he made one mistake. He left behind his DNA and phone trail. It was that arrogance, that belief that he could outsmart everyone, that led to his downfall. By the time the autopsy reports came in, the truth was clear. The Hans died quickly. No struggle. No chance to fight back. The arrest was supposed to bring relief. But for the people of Santa Barbara, it only deepened the mystery. Why would a man like Pierre Hobs, someone who called himself a friend of the Han family, slaughter an entire household? The motive wasn't clear. The evidence was strong, yes, but the story behind the crime, that was darker than anyone could imagine. At first glance, Pierre didn't look dangerous. He was well-spoken, confident, even charming. He wore nice clothes, drove a clean car, talked about big business. He told people he was a tech genius, developing hydrogen-based energy systems that could change the world. He spoke in complex words, dropped famous names, and promised investors enormous returns. To the untrained eye, he was convincing. But behind that charm, Pierre was living a lie. He was broke, he was desperate, and he was angry. Detectives soon learned Pierre's background was filled with scams. He'd con people in multiple states: California, Nevada, Arizona. He sold fake energy products, promised fake partnerships, even used fake names. One investor told police Pierre once claimed to have government contracts worth millions. None of it was true. He lived off lies, borrowing money he never paid back. He changed phone numbers constantly, moved from city to city, and in 2015, he found his next target, Dr. Henry Hahn. Henry was idealistic, a believer in good intentions. He saw the best in people. When Pierre approached him, talking about healing technology and vibrational energy, Henry was intrigued. Pierre spoke the language of science and spirituality, exactly what Henry believed in. Soon, the two began working together. Pierre promised to build devices that could heal the human body using frequency. Henry invested, first a few thousand, then tens of thousands. He told his wife Jenny it would pay off. He believed Pierre's vision could help patients all over the world. But months later, the truth hit hard. No products, no patents, no progress, just excuses. Pierre said investors backed out, that shipments were delayed, that he just needed a little more time. But time ran out. By early 2016, Henry demanded his money back. In January 2016, Henry sent Pierre several emails, calm but firm. He wrote, "I need the repayment this month. You've had plenty of time." Pierre responded with charm and deflection. "Don't worry, brother. I'm close to closing a deal. You'll have more than you gave me." But that was another lie. Police later found messages where Pierre vented about Henry to a friend. He called him greedy, said he didn't understand the vision, and that he was done being treated like a kid. The relationship was falling apart. And beneath that calm exterior, Pierre was furious. Detectives pieced together a chilling timeline. In early March, Pierre began gathering supplies: duct tape, gloves, trash bags, plastic sheeting, ammunition. He also withdrew $10,000 from a hidden account, likely money he'd scammed from someone else. Then he texted Dr. Hahn, "Let's meet Friday. I'll bring your money. We'll fix everything." That Friday was March 23rd, the day the Hahn family died. At the sheriff's station, detectives laid everything out: the gun, the cash, the timeline. Pierre sat in silence, his hands cuffed. He barely blinked. Then calmly he said, "I didn't kill anyone. You've got this all wrong." The lead detective leaned forward. "Pierre, we found your DNA in the house. On the blanket covering the bodies. On the doorknob. On the gun. You were there." Pierre smiled slightly. "You're mistaken." It was eerie, almost robotic. He didn't cry, didn't show anger, didn't ask about the victims. Just sat there, like he was watching a movie about someone else. Criminal psychologists later described Pierre as a high-functioning narcissist, someone who viewed himself as the smartest person in the room. He believed he could outtalk detectives, outthink them, outmaneuver the truth. In his mind, people like Dr. Hahn weren't victims. They were pawns. The world owed him, and when it didn't deliver, he took what he wanted. Detectives knew they were dealing with a manipulator, not just a killer. As investigators dug deeper into the crime scene, they found more signs of premeditation. Pierre had turned off the home's Wi-Fi before the killings, likely to block smart devices from recording. He'd cut power to the security cameras. He even wiped his fingerprints off doorknobs using cleaning wipes. But he made one critical mistake. When he pulled the trigger, a fine mist of blood hit his sleeve. Later, he tossed that sweatshirt in a dumpster behind a gas station. Detectives found it within 48 hours, and DNA testing confirmed it matched all 3 victims. Prosecutors believed Pierre didn't just want to silence Henry, he wanted to dominate him. When Dr. Hahn began demanding repayment, it challenged Pierre's ego. He couldn't stand being questioned, especially by someone he once controlled. So he decided to eliminate the problem completely. The prosecution's theory was simple. Pierre went to the Hahn home with a gun and silencer. He brought duct tape to restrain them if necessary. When the confrontation escalated, he executed the family. The motive? money and pride. Autopsy reports later revealed something haunting. Jenny had defensive wounds, small bruises on her arms. It meant she'd tried to shield her daughter. Emily's wounds were clean, quick, one shot. Detectives said Pierre may have told the child to close her eyes. Then he pulled the trigger. It wasn't rage. It was calculation. Cold, detached killing. When news broke about Pierre's arrest, Santa Barbara erupted. Reporters flooded the courthouse. Headlines screamed, "Energy scam artist charged in family triple murder." Neighbors were horrified. Dr. Han's patients wept outside his clinic. The community demanded justice, but Pierre seemed unbothered. When cameras caught him being escorted in handcuffs, he smirked, as if it were all a misunderstanding. Meanwhile, detectives searched Pierre's storage unit. Inside, they found fake IDs, dozens of bank documents, blueprints for energy devices that didn't exist, and handwritten notes describing how to vanish. He'd planned everything, including how to disappear after the murders. But he didn't get that chance. The manhunt moved faster than he expected. In early 2017, Pierre was officially charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and special circumstances for multiple killings. If convicted, he could face life without parole or worse, the death penalty. But Pierre pled not guilty. His defense claimed there was no direct evidence placing him at the crime scene. They said investigators jumped to conclusions. It was a bold move, especially with his DNA everywhere. But Pierre wasn't done manipulating. In jail, he wrote letters to friends. He told them he was set up, that someone else used his car, that fake evidence had been planted. He even accused police of hacking his devices to frame him. Every letter was filled with the same delusion, that he was smarter than everyone else. And yet, behind that confidence, cracks began to show. In one note to an old associate, he wrote, "I should have just left town. I stayed too long." It was the closest thing to an admission anyone would get. While Pierre sat behind bars, the Santa Barbara community mourned. A memorial was held at the county courthouse. Hundreds attended. Friends spoke of Dr. Han's kindness, how he treated patients who couldn't afford to pay, how he believed healing wasn't about money, it was about love. For more chilling true crime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. The courtroom was silent. You could hear the air conditioner hum. The clock ticked. And then, the bailiff's voice broke the stillness. "All rise." Everyone stood as the judge entered. The man seated at the defense table didn't move much. He kept his head low, hands folded, a faint smirk on his lips. That man was Pierre Hobs, the alleged killer of Dr. Henry Hahn, his wife Jenny, and their little girl Emily. And on that day, Santa Barbara came to watch justice unfold. Every seat was filled. Reporters with notepads, camera crews waiting outside, friends of the Hahn family sitting quietly, holding tissues, staring at Pierre with eyes full of hatred. At the front row sat Jenny's sister, her hands trembling, clutching a photograph of the family. 3 smiling faces frozen in time. The judge adjusted his glasses. He looked down at the man accused of destroying all of it. "Mr. Hobs, you stand charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. How do you plead?" Pierre looked up, calm, unbothered. "Not guilty, Your Honor." A quiet gasp rolled through the room. The lead prosecutor, John Savernach, stepped forward. His voice was measured, firm. He didn't need theatrics. The facts were powerful enough. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is a case about greed, about betrayal, about a man who pretended to be a friend and instead became a killer." He paused, held up a photograph of the Hahn family. They trusted him. They welcomed him into their home. And for that trust, they paid with their lives. The jurors leaned in. The room went still again. "We will show you the evidence, DNA, ballistics, and his own words. At the end of this trial, you will see who Pierre Hobs truly is." Then came the defense. A sharp, young attorney named Matthew Smith. He stood confidently, tugged his jacket, and turned to the jury. "This case isn't what it seems. The state wants you to believe in a simple story, a bad man kills a good family. But reality is never that simple. He paced slowly. There is no eyewitness, no security footage, and no clear motive that makes sense. My client, Mr. Hobs, was set up. He was framed to take the fall. Pierre nodded subtly beside him, as if approving the performance. The evidence, the attorney said, will not prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. It will prove confusion, assumptions, and flawed police work. He sat down. The show had begun. The prosecution called its first witness, Detective Samantha Romero, lead investigator. She stepped up, calm and composed. Her eyes didn't leave the jury. On March 23, 2016, at approximately 7:45 p.m., we entered the Hahn residence. We discovered 3 deceased individuals, all victims of gunshot wounds to the head. She described the scene, the taped mouths, the plastic sheets, the smell of bleach. The jurors listened, horrified. Then she pointed at Pierre. We recovered DNA from the duct tape, the blanket covering the victims, and the doorknob leading to the living room. All matched the defendant. The prosecutor nodded. The evidence was stacking up fast. But the defense was waiting. When Detective Romero finished, the defense attorney stood. He smiled slightly, the kind of smile that hides a knife behind it. Detective, you said DNA was found on the doorknob? Yes. You're aware my client was a frequent visitor of the home? He had been there before, yes? So his DNA could have been there from a previous visit, correct? Romero hesitated. It's possible, but no further questions. The defense smiled, satisfied. He'd planted doubt. Even a sliver was enough to make jurors pause. Next came the coroner, Dr. Alicia Vance. Her voice was steady but heavy with sadness. The victims were shot execution style. Based on trajectory and residue, they were likely seated or kneeling. Her words hung in the air like fog. She held up diagrams, pointed to bullet paths, described the stillness of each scene. There were no signs of struggle, except with Mrs. Hahn. She had defensive wounds, small bruises and abrasions consistent with restraint. A juror covered her mouth, eyes wide. Then Dr. Vance said something that froze the room. The child's wound was precise, instantaneous. Whoever fired that weapon knew what they were doing. A chill ran through the courtroom. Even Pierre looked away for a moment. Next came the most anticipated witness, a former associate of Pierre's, known only as Witness X. His real name was sealed for protection. He wore glasses and kept his head low. I worked with Pierre, he said quietly. We did tech startups, energy projects. Were they legitimate? The prosecutor asked. No, they were scams. Pierre would find investors, promise them huge returns, then disappear. The prosecutor leaned closer. Did he ever mention Dr. Hahn? Yes, he said Dr. Hahn was an easy target. He said he'd bled him dry, and that the guy kept nagging him for money back. The room buzzed. Even the judge had to call for order. 1 week before the murders, the witness continued, Pierre told me, if he keeps pushing, I'll make sure he never asks again. It was the first time the jury heard the motive spoken aloud. When it was their turn, the defense tore into Witness X. You were part of his scams, weren't you? Yes. You lied to investors too? Yes. And now, after you got immunity, you're suddenly the voice of truth? The man hesitated. The defense smirked. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the attorney said, you just heard a career liar trying to save his own skin. You really think this is justice? He turned to sit. Pierre gave him a slight nod of approval. Then came the bombshell. The prosecution introduced a series of letters Pierre wrote from jail. They weren't love letters. They were blueprints for manipulation. In one, he wrote, if anyone asks, say I was with you that night. I'll make it worth your while. In another, they can't prove anything if we stick to the story. The jury stared as each letter was read aloud. These, said the prosecutor, holding them up, are the words of a guilty man trying to rewrite his past. Pierre's face twitched for the first time. Then came the most haunting part. The prosecution displayed a photograph, one taken from Pierre's phone. It was of the Han home driveway, time-stamped hours before the murders. He'd taken it himself, and it placed him exactly where he claimed he wasn't. The courtroom erupted. The judge slammed his gavel. Order! Order in the court! But the damage was done. Every juror's face had changed. That smirk on Pierre's face began to fade. When it was finally time for the defense to call witnesses, they had little left. They brought in a friend of Pierre's who claimed he couldn't imagine him hurting anyone. They called an expert who argued the DNA could be transfer evidence, but nothing stuck. Nothing could erase the mountain of proof already laid bare. So they did something shocking. They put Pierre himself on the stand. Pierre straightened his suit. He looked calm again, almost smug. "Mr. Hobs," his attorney began, "did you kill the Han family?" "Absolutely not." His voice was clear, cold. "Did you owe Dr. Han money?" "No. We were partners. We were building something revolutionary." He leaned forward, looking directly at the jury. "The police made up a story. They needed someone to blame, and I was convenient." Then came the cross-examination. The prosecutor walked slowly toward him, a file in hand. "Mr. Hobs, you claim you weren't there that night?" "Correct." "Then how do you explain this?" He held up the photo, Pierre's car in the Han driveway. It was April 14th, 2016. 3 weeks had passed since the discovery of the Han family's bodies. The house on Greenwell Avenue in Santa Barbara still felt haunted. Inside, the faint smell of bleach lingered. Detectives had taken what they could, fingerprints, DNA, footprints, but nothing seemed to fit. Then, everything changed when a car was spotted. A black sedan, abandoned on a desolate road near Goleta. The license plate had been removed, but inside the trunk, a few personal items caught an officer's attention. A wallet, a fake ID, and a half-empty prescription bottle with the name Pierre Hobs. Detective Kenneth Ralston recognized the name instantly. It was one of the many names that had surfaced during their investigation. Pierre Hobs, a man with a past full of aliases, fraud charges, and unfinished business. He had once been connected to Dr. Henry Han through a vague business deal, something about hydrogen energy and holistic medicine. But their partnership had ended badly, very badly. Police started digging into Pierre's background. What they found was astonishing. Pierre wasn't just a con artist. He was a chameleon. He'd impersonated engineers, business owners, and scientists. He'd sold fake medical equipment, posed as a tech investor, and left a trail of lawsuits across California. He'd lived under different names in different towns, blending in, always moving. A man with no real past and no stable identity. But one fact stood out. Pierre owed Henry Han money, and he wasn't happy about it. On March 23, 2016, 2 days before the Han family's bodies were found, Pierre had visited Henry's home. Neighbors remembered seeing a dark sedan in the driveway that night. They didn't think much of it then. Now, that same car sat impounded at the sheriff's office. And inside, detectives found a gold mine of evidence. Plastic zip ties, a roll of duct tape, and a .22 caliber handgun, the same caliber used in the murders. Within hours, a statewide manhunt began. Detectives believed Pierre was on the run, possibly heading toward Mexico. They traced his phone, credit card use, and online activity. He was clever, switching motels, paying in cash, avoiding cameras. But no one runs forever. At 7 a.m. on March 25th, a Santa Barbara SWAT team surrounded a Comfort Inn in Oceanside, California. Room 214, registered under a fake name. They knocked. No answer. Then came the battering ram. Boom. The door splintered open. Inside, Pierre stood shirtless, calm, expressionless. He didn't reach for a weapon, didn't shout, didn't run. He simply raised his hands and said one chilling sentence. "I knew you'd find me." Detectives cuffed him and led him out. The entire arrest was over in less than 3 minutes. But what they found in the room told a much darker story. Blood-stained clothes in a trash bag, a laptop with encrypted files, and inside the bathroom sink, small flecks of red, barely visible to the naked eye. DNA testing later confirmed what everyone feared. It matched Dr. Hahn. During interrogation, Pierre was calm. Too calm. He denied everything at first. Said he hadn't seen Henry in weeks. Said the gun wasn't his. That someone had set him up. Detective Ralston leaned forward. Pierre, Henry's blood was in your car. In your hotel room. On your shoes. Explain that. Pierre stared at him, eyes blank. I can't, he said softly. But I know how this looks. He smirked, and then said something strange. Henry was going to change the world. But people don't like that. They want to stop visionaries. Detectives exchanged glances. It wasn't the response they expected. He spoke as if he still admired Henry, the man he was accused of killing. As the days passed, more evidence surfaced. Surveillance footage showed Pierre buying duct tape and zip ties at a Home Depot days before the murders. Security cameras captured his black sedan driving toward Santa Barbara on the night of March 23rd, and his cell phone data, despite attempts to delete it, placed him at the Hahn residence within hours of the killings. The timeline was now airtight. Pierre had arrived late at night. He likely used the guise of business to gain entry. Once inside, something went wrong. Detectives believed a financial argument escalated into violence. Henry, Jenny, and Emily were all shot execution style. Then Pierre had tried to clean up, sealing the garage, turning off lights, and fleeing into the night. Cold, calculated, almost mechanical. When the news broke, Santa Barbara was in shock. A healer, his wife, and their daughter, murdered by a man who once called himself a friend. The local community held candlelight vigils outside Henry's clinic. Patients spoke through tears. They described Henry as gentle, selfless, brilliant, someone who believed in both science and spirit. He didn't deserve that, one patient said. None of them did. Meanwhile, Pierre's arrest made headlines nationwide. Con man accused in triple murder of family doctor. The press dug deep into his past, uncovering scams, business frauds, and lies stretching back over a decade. One headline read, "The many faces of Pierre Hobs, the man who fooled everyone." Another said, "From entrepreneur to killer, the double life of a California con artist." It was sensational, but beneath the spectacle lay something haunting. Pierre wasn't just a con man. He was someone obsessed with control. He wanted money, yes, but also power. Power to manipulate, power to create illusions, and power to destroy. When detectives revisited the Hahn home, they noticed something peculiar. Nothing had been stolen. Henry's laptop, jewelry, cash all untouched. So why kill the entire family? Detective Ralston had a theory. Pierre hadn't gone there to rob Henry. He'd gone there to silence him. Somewhere in their failed business deal, secrets had been buried, documents, formulas, maybe even money trails. And Henry might have threatened to expose him. Pierre couldn't afford that. So he did what he'd done to anyone who stood in his way. He erased them. Months later, the case moved toward trial. Pierre pleaded not guilty. His attorneys painted him as a scapegoat, a victim of circumstantial evidence. They claimed police had tunnel vision, but the physical evidence was damning. The gun, the car, the blood, and the timeline every minute accounted for. Still, Pierre smiled in court. He whispered to his lawyers. He looked at reporters, even winked once, as if he was still in control of the story. Detectives never forgot that smirk. To them, it symbolized everything. He was charming, manipulative, detached from reality. But behind the smirk was something else. Fear. Because for the first time in his life, Pierre couldn't lie his way out. The Hahn family's relatives sat quietly through each hearing. They never looked at Pierre. They didn't need to. Their silence said enough. Their presence was justice. Still, one question haunted investigators. Why had Henry trusted him? Friends said Henry believed in giving people second chances. He saw good even in the worst of souls. Maybe that kindness cost him his life. By the end of 2016, prosecutors were confident they had their man. But Pierre's legal maneuvers dragged the case on for years. He filed motions, claimed evidence tampering, and even questioned his mental competence. The trial date shifted over and over. 2017, 2018, 2019. Each time, another delay. To the public, it felt endless. To the Hahn family's friends, it felt cruel. Meanwhile, the story faded from headlines. Other crimes stole the spotlight. The courtroom was silent. Only the soft hum of the air conditioner and the distant click of reporters' cameras broke the stillness. It was a warm day in May 2022, 6 long years after the murders of Dr. Henry Hahn, his wife Jenny, and their daughter Emily. 6 years of waiting, 6 years of questions, 6 years of pain. Now, the man accused of taking their lives sat just 20 feet away. Pierre Hobs. He wore a crisp white shirt, his hair slicked back, his expression unreadable. No remorse, no fear. Just that same detached calm that had haunted everyone since the day he was arrested. The trial had taken months to prepare. Prosecutors called it one of the most complex and emotionally charged cases in Santa Barbara's history. Dozens of witnesses, hundreds of exhibits, hours of forensic testimony. Every word, every photo, every detail painted the same horrifying picture. A man driven by greed and arrogance, who destroyed an entire family for money and ego. Prosecutor Kim Siegel stood before the jury. Her voice was firm, her gaze steady. "This case is about betrayal," she began. "It's about a trusted friend who walked into a family's home and walked out leaving only death behind." She spoke of Henry's kindness, his faith in people, his belief that everyone deserved a chance. Then she looked toward Pierre. He took advantage of that kindness. He used friendship as a weapon. The jurors listened, faces grim. They'd seen the crime scene photos, the living room splattered with blood, the bodies wrapped in blankets, the signs of a struggle that ended in silence. It wasn't just murder. It was an execution. Pierre's defense attorney, Stephen Dunkel, painted a different picture. He called Pierre a dreamer, a man with big ideas but poor luck. He claimed the prosecution's evidence was circumstantial, and that investigators had jumped to conclusions. "There's no proof Mr. Hobs pulled the trigger," Dunkel argued. "You'll see that law enforcement wanted a suspect so badly, they made him fit the story." But the jury wasn't easily swayed, because the evidence spoke for itself. Dr. Maria Cummings, a forensic analyst, took the stand. She presented photos of bullet casings, duct tape, and the .22 caliber handgun found in Pierre's car. DNA testing confirmed it. Blood on the gun matched Henry's. Fibers from Pierre's clothes matched carpet samples from the Hahn home. The zip ties and duct tape had Pierre's fingerprints. And when detectives searched his laptop, they found something chilling: deleted files detailing Henry's business ventures and personal information. "He knew everything," Cummings testified. "Bank accounts, property, patents, it was all there." According to prosecutors, Pierre had been in debt. He'd convinced Henry to invest in a hydrogen energy venture that never existed. When Henry began asking questions, Pierre panicked. He couldn't afford to lose his reputation. He couldn't afford to lose control. So he killed the man who trusted him most. And then, to leave no witnesses, he killed Henry's wife and daughter. Cold, calculated, unforgivable. Midway through the trial, the jury watched Pierre's recorded interview with detectives. He was calm, almost smug. He leaned back in his chair, answering questions with half smiles and shrugs. "You're asking the wrong guy," he said at one point. "I didn't kill them, but I know someone who might have." When pressed, he offered no name, no explanation, just silence. Then, as detectives left the room, Pierre whispered to himself, unaware the camera was still rolling, "They'll never prove it." That whisper became the prosecution's weapon, because in that moment it wasn't denial, it was pride. One of the hardest days came when Henry's former patients took the stand. They spoke of his healing touch, his soft voice, his devotion to his family. One woman, tears streaming down her face, said, "He saved my life. He didn't just treat people, he believed in them." Another said, "If you met Dr. Hahn once, you remembered him forever." Even some jurors wiped away tears. because this wasn't just a crime. It was a tragedy that destroyed something pure. As the trial progressed, Pierre's lies began to unravel. He claimed he hadn't been near Santa Barbara that night, yet GPS data placed him there. He claimed he'd never owned a gun, yet his fingerprints were on the weapon. He claimed he didn't know where the Hans lived, yet directions to their home were saved in his phone. Piece by piece, the mask fell away. By the final week, even his defense attorney seemed drained. Every attempt to poke holes in the prosecution's case only made it stronger. Prosecutor Siegel stood before the jury one last time. Pierre Hobs didn't just kill a man, she said quietly. He killed a father, a husband, a child. He killed 3 people who welcomed him into their home because greed mattered more to him than life. Then she pointed at Pierre. He planned this. He executed it. And for 6 years, he's tried to manipulate this system the same way he manipulated everyone else. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. The truth was loud enough. After 3 days of deliberation, the jury returned. The courtroom filled with silence as the foreperson stood. We, the jury, find the defendant, Pierre Hobs, guilty of 3 counts of first-degree murder. No one moved. No one breathed. Then, from the back row, a quiet sob. Henry's sister buried her face in her hands. The weight of 6 years finally broke. Pierre didn't flinch, didn't blink. He stared straight ahead, his expression frozen, somewhere between disbelief and indifference. Reporters noted that his lips curved slightly, faint smile, the kind that says, "I still think I'm smarter than you." At sentencing, the judge looked directly at Pierre. "You stole not just lives, but the sense of safety this community once had. You turned friendship into a weapon, and you've shown not a single ounce of remorse." He paused, eyes narrowing. "You will spend the rest of your life in prison, without the possibility of parole." Pierre said nothing, not a word. He just leaned back, as if this too was part of his performance. Then the guards led him away, and for the first time the courtroom exhaled. Outside the courthouse, news cameras flashed. The crowd erupted in applause as Henry's friends hugged one another. Justice delayed, but not denied. One friend told reporters, he thought he could play God, but today, the truth won. The Han family was finally at peace, or at least as close to peace as grief allows. Back in Santa Barbara, Henry's old clinic remained empty for years, but flowers still appeared on the steps. Notes left by patients who refused to forget. "Thank you for healing us. We still believe in your light. Rest easy, doctor." Those words became a quiet memorial, a message that kindness can outlive cruelty. Pierre Hobs was transferred to California State Prison, Sacramento. Inmates reportedly called him the Doctor Killer. He kept to himself, rarely spoke, spent most days reading legal documents trying to appeal his conviction. He still insisted he was innocent, still claimed the evidence was planted. But no one believed him anymore, because the evidence wasn't just in the courtroom, it was written in blood. Years later, for more chilling true crime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.